Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
Hey guys.
How's everyone doing today?
How's it going? Doing well.
Excellent.
It is indeed. What's the latest in your lives? Any things that you're looking forward to with summer approaching?
We have a lot going on here at YSY. I'll let you go first, Serena.
Well, the most pressing thing for me is my baby girl is going out of the country on the 30th. So I'm a little nervous about that and excited.
Okay.
Yep, she's going to South Africa.
My goodness. That's incredible.
Right.
That's an amazing trip.
And I thought about going, but I just have to let her fly.
Yes, you do.
How long is she going?
Yeah. She'll just be there for 30 days.
Nice.
That's a nice long stretch, though.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
Not too bad.
What will she be doing? Is she sightseeing or is it like a learning opportunity or a mission trip of some kind?
It's a learning opportunity through Georgia Tech. So she applied for that program and she's afforded to go. So we're excited about it.
Fantastic. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Robert, you've been wearing a hard hat lately over at the Andrew and Walter Young Y and all the construction that's happening. Everything going well?
Everything is going well. Not to schedule as we would hoped. Some things have been delayed. That's, I guess, to be expected in this world. But yeah, we are definitely anxiously awaiting the pool to be reopened.
Nice.
Many of the areas that they have been working on in preparation for camp, for that to be prepared. I guess the biggest area of notoriety is the new sports court, the tennis court, the half basketball court, the pickleball court, and half turf. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be done on Friday because we were supposed to have our big ribbon cutting, but due to construction, the materials hadn't arrived yet, and so things got postponed to a date to be determined.
Right.
That happens. Well, speaking of summer, we are talking about how this is going to be the best summer ever at the Y, right?
Yes. Very much looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. So with that title of Best Summer Ever at the Y, we have two amazing people we want to introduce to you. Ms. Kim Nelson and Mr. Drew Hullinger. Ms. Kim Nelson is the Senior Vice President of Program Development for the Y. She began her YMCA career in 2000 at the Ed Isaacson Alpharetta Family Y as the Family Service Director. She was later promoted to many different roles in after-school, day camp, and teen programs. In 2007, Kim took on the role of Associate Executive Director at the Alpharetta Y, and then became the Executive Director of the J.M. Tull Gwinnett Family Y in 2012. She was promoted to Group Vice President until her role today as Senior Vice President of Program Development. Kim is active in many community organizations like the Rotary Club, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Gwinnett Advisory Board, and the GSAN Committee. Kim is a graduate of the 2016 Leadership Gwinnett class. She and her husband have been married for more than 20 years, and they have 3 boys, ages 17, 15, and 12, who have all grown up at the YMCA. Welcome, Kim.
Nice. Welcome.
In addition, we have Drew Hullinger. Drew's passion for serving youth propelled him into his current Y career of 24 years. As a seasonal camp counselor at the Y's Camp High Harbour during his college years, Drew realized his mission to invest in the next generation of young leaders. Throughout his career, Drew has served in various roles at 5 resident camps and has led service trips for teenagers to Alaska, Costa Rica, Prague, and South Africa. During his role as executive director, Drew built a board team from 0 participants to 26 active members. That's incredible. Currently, Drew is the Y's Vice President of Residential and Outdoor Programs. In his role, Drew oversees the Y's 2 resident camp locations and provides strategic thought partnerships to Y branches with outdoor spaces. Welcome to you both.
Well,
thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I tell you, I'm so excited about the conversation today. I began my Y career 23 years ago as a camp counselor. So this is definitely a special conversation that we're going to have and where that can take you. So I'm going to kick it off with my question for Kim. Our CEO, Lauren Kuntz, often describes summer at the Y as our annual Super Bowl or our Summer Olympics. With those mental pictures in mind, could you share what the summer experience at the Y is like?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having us. Yep, you will hear us all say that this is our Olympics, this is our Super Bowl. I like to say Olympics because as you think about everything the Y does this summer, we have so many events that we've been working and training for and prepping for. So when you think about the summer at the Y, you think about the different families that we serve. The first one is our Y members. Their kids are at a school, they've got a membership at a YMCA, so a day for them, and this is the time that it's the busiest for our Ys, is that you have family coming in and they're working out, their kids are playing in the play center, teens are down in the basketball court, they're taking swim lessons, and then they're coming back together, and then they're going to the outdoor pool, they're getting on the greenway and taking a walk, they're taking a class together. So you could literally have a family there for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Then on the other end, you have our busiest time because we are running 18 plus YMCA day camps across Metro Atlanta. And a lot of those are at our facilities, and some of them are off-site, like our Cherokee YMCA on Lake Altoona or Camp Eagle Point on Lake Lanier. So we're running our traditional camps. We're there for our working families. They run from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So you are seeing so many kids being able to have exposure and experiences like they never have before. And just to give you a little bit of an insight, we're probably going to serve over 2,500 campers per day just across Metro Atlanta. So it is a busy time for us.
Yeah, we really saw a big change after the pandemic as parents felt, more comfortable. And man, were they ready for their kids to get back out there in summer camp? Is that what you experienced?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. They are registering earlier and earlier. They're like, they cannot be home this summer, regardless. Let's get them in the Y.
Hey, I understand.
Yes, I have 3 of them. Yep.
Yes.
Well, hey, this next question's for Drew. I think there's some listeners out there that have no idea that the YMCA of Metro Atlanta operates 2 overnight camps, Camp High Harbour at Lake Burton and Camp High Harbour at Lake Altoona. Drew, can you give us kind of some behind the scenes of what the resident camp experience is all about?
Absolutely, and thank you, Allison. And as you know, at the YMCA, we believe that all people, especially children, deserve an equal chance to reach their full potential. And I know I'm extremely biased, but there's no better place to do that than at one of our resident camps. And here in Atlanta, as you referenced, we're very fortunate to have 2 premier lakefront locations that we can serve overnight campers. We have our Lake Burton property up in Rabun County and our Lake Allatoona property in Bartow County. And between both those locations, we're going to serve over 5,000 campers this coming summer. And what will happen is parents will drop off on a Sunday afternoon and they'll pick up on a Saturday afternoon. And in that week span, children are going to learn independence and gain self-confidence and make lasting friendships, all while having the times of their lives. We actually like to say while kids are having the most fun of their summer, they're learning life skills that they'll be able to take with them once they leave the camp gates. And we really have incredible programming at both locations. We have incredible large waterfronts, which allow us to get behind motorized boats and do all the activities you see on the lake, the skiing, the kneeboarding, the wakeboarding, and a favorite here at camp, bun busting, which is tubing behind a boat. Which is a lot of fun. Then you get into the harbor. There's a good picture of the harbor. And as you get in the harbor, we've got water trampolines, we've got the blob, we've got paddle boards, kayaks, just a great opportunity for kids to get wet during the summer months. And then you move to our land activities, and we're so fortunate to have first-class ropes course facilities. We've got shooting sports for archery and slingshot. We've got fields, gymnasiums, and courts so we can do team sports. Your basic arts and crafts that you can find at camp, and so much more. It really is from the time the kids wake up and go to morning exercises in the morning until they go back to their cabins for the final devotion of the day and lights out. We really are very intentional about programming to allow the children to have the best versions of themselves while they're here at camp in an outdoor setting without cell phones, which is a great release from technology. Yes, no cell phones at camp, so get away from that technology for a week. And
it's one of the best things.
It is. And the children really are the kings and queens because the staff have done such a good job of developing a culture where they're serving by leading others. And every person that comes into the cabin or the program area is cared for by our incredible staff.
Nice.
Thank you for that great overview. As a parent of two children that have experienced the resident camp at Camp Lake High Harbour at Lake Alatoona, and then being camp counselors, so many stories, so many life skills they learned. I couldn't be a bigger advocate. Thank you, Drew.
I love the fact that, Drew, that these kids are being given the opportunity to be kids. And the things that you're mentioning in terms of morning exercise and some of the activities and just the camaraderie that they build really just brings us all back to our own childhood and just being out in the fun, out in the world, just having fun. Kim, this next question is for you. And this is just another aspect that some of our campers and our listeners may not have a lot of knowledge about in terms of infusing social and emotional learning into the experience. Can you describe what that looks like and why it has become such an integral part of the camp experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of years ago, we really started the journey of what social emotional learning would look like as part of the Y, specifically within our youth programs. Because SEL is so important to the youth we serve, not only just their academic development, but we really have to focus on the well-being and development of the whole child. So a couple of years ago, we, sent out an RFP. We vetted different organizations that specialize in SEL. And what we identified was that we began a partnership and identified an organization, Wings for Kids, that we felt was the perfect fit for the Y. Not only because they specialize in SEL, but because they really looked at the Y and said, I want to give you guys guidance and development of SEL within your Y programs. We don't want to change who you are and what you do, but we want to infuse this within the Y programs. And so we really looked at what does that mean? And so we really focused on working with our staff, developing our staff, because SEL is not about a curriculum. It's not about picking up a lesson plan. Part of it is intentional activities, but it is really about how do we enhance and change our culture, not just how we interact with youth, but also how do we interact from staff to staff? How are we working with our families? So we really worked with each individual to get the buy-in of social emotional learning and then started implementing it and working with our children and our youth. And we're doing that this year within summer day camp. So as we look at the different programs and interactions, we're really doing it through an SEL lens while we're doing very intentional programming at that as well. So one of the things that we look at is that we're really focusing on building on some core components, and that's social awareness, self-awareness, relationship building, and responsible decision making. And as I say those things, I think we can all sit here and say, yep, that's just not what youth, that's with staff as well. So how do we work on that together? Yeah. And so we've been training on SEL for about 2 years now with all of our staff. With Wings guidance, we've been providing specialty training for our staff, and now we are implementing it and infusing it with everything we do within our day camp and our after school programs. And what's really neat is that we have 3 programs that we are piloting social emotional learning specialists, where they're not part of our ratios. They are part of our day. They're working with our staff, coaching them, but also implementing different curriculums. We started it last year at 2 sites, and now we're expanding to 3. And it's all we've been fortunate enough to be able to do this due to funding that's been supported by Kaiser Permanente. So we're going to continue doing this work. We're going to build off of it and also continue building that professional development for our staff and really leading the way and walking the walk and leading by example for our youth.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yes, I love how intentional you guys are about your training for your staff and providing for our young ones too.
It starts with them. If you don't have the buy-in, and you know this all too well, being in your background, that if the staff don't buy in it, if they're not leading the example, then it's not going to work. We were really intentional about making sure that we had the staff buy in and they knew what social emotional learning was before rolling it out to our programs.
Love it. Thank you. So my question is for Drew. So Drew, during my many years at the Y, I understand that youth who apply to be overnight camp counselors go through extensive training called Advanced Leadership Academy. Could you describe this experience?
Absolutely, Zarina. So the Advanced Leadership Academy, or what we refer to as the ALA acronym, is really our secret sauce of camp. If you ask me what's the competitive advantage that High Harbour has in the camping movement, it would be our Advanced Leadership program. Every year we interview kids that were transitioning from being a camper that want to go into this leadership role to eventually become staff. So under this umbrella, we have 3 programs. We have our Navigators program, which is a 1-week summer camp experience that focuses on 75% of their time just being at camp, just being the camper that they were the previous year. But we start transitioning them into a leadership role. About 25% of their time will be spent in leadership activities. Then you've got the ALC program, which is our Advanced Leadership Camp. It's a 2-week program that is now more 50% leadership focused and 50% generic camp focused. And finally, that last program under the umbrella is called the Leader in Training Program, or LIT, which focuses 75% leadership aspects, first 25% being a camper. Now, the 2-week program of ALC and the 3-week program of LIT is interview only. So we're actually putting 15 and 16-year-olds through interviews. And this is important for them to develop those skills at an early age of sitting across from someone, completing a resume, and going through the selection process. Once they are selected into the ALC or LIT program, we actually pair them with a staff mentor in the spring, and they're going to work through leadership lessons in the spring to prepare for their summer camp experience. Now, regardless of which program you do, the Navigators, the ALC, or the LIT, they all have service project components at summer camp, both inside and outside the camp gates, as well as leadership classes as well. So they'll meet daily in the morning and at night and have daily leadership class time together as they talk about ways they can improve their leadership skills. The ALA program does produce over 95% of our staff here at camp, so we're able to ingrain that culture in them at a very young age and capture them in that time that normally they would phase out of camp programs, and we're able to bridge that gap before they become staff. And if you ask the ALA members, why do you want to be a staff member? They all say because someone in their lives poured into them, so they want to have that same to someone else. They want to be able to pour into that next generation. So using those SALT principles of service, adventure, leadership, and technical skills, we really are transforming today's youth into tomorrow's leaders.
Drew, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And again, I'll just reiterate the leadership piece is so extraordinary. The things I saw from my children when they came back after that LIT year, because they really do a lot of manual labor, which is amazing work. They come home and they're cleaning everything in sight. It's the best thing ever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Drew. Kim, I've got a question for you. For families who, let's say, live on a tight budget, how does the Y help families afford day camp and resident camp?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what makes us different from a lot of other organizations is that we have many different ways that we want to make sure and ensure families have access to quality and a safe, impactful program. And so one of the things is that we raise money within the community through private, public grants where we provide scholarships on a sliding fee scale to be able to provide financial assistance to families. And each of our YMCAs, they work with each family individually to make sure that it's not a barrier. We want to make sure that everybody has access to a program, to a Y program, to be able to participate. So we don't want to turn anybody away. You'll hear that a lot as you think about the Y. The other thing is that we have a lot of great partnerships within our community too. So we have a lot of third-party pays. One example of that is that we have an amazing relationship with the Atlanta Housing Authority where they provide tuition relief to their families, and we provide the after-school and summer day camp program. In addition, all of our day camps are CAPS providers. So we accept CAPS funding. So if the family qualifies and receives that, then we ensure that we can work with them, and that way that way we make sure everybody has access to the Y.
I'm really happy to hear about all of those different opportunities. That's excellent. Yeah. And Drew, I know we didn't plan for this question, but there is extensive work that happens with camp counselors and alumni around that fundraising campaign too, right? To help children who can't afford to go to resident camp, correct?
Absolutely. I always say our most committed families are our leadership families and our staff families. And well after the staff leave the camp gates and go on to start their professional careers and have their own families, they are still very involved with camp, whether it's coming back and seeing a night program or walking the pickup line on a Sunday or Saturday here at camp, talking to other families. Our alumni are incredibly proud of what they were able to accomplish at camp and want to continue giving back. And it happens to be a monetary give back at times, as well as joining our board.
Nice.
Thank you.
Great work. Great work. Drew, in addition to the overnight summer camp, our Y has started a new program as of last summer called Bold and Gold. Can you please talk to us a little about what Bold and Gold is and what makes it different from attending Camp High Harbor?
Absolutely. Thanks, Robert. So the YMCA of Atlanta, as Robert said, just received a program called Bold and Gold. We started it last year as our pilot, and we're in year number 2. It's new to Atlanta, but it's not new to the YUSA. This has been a program that's been happening for years at YUSA, and we now have it here in Atlanta. Bold stands for Boys Outdoor Leadership Development, and Gold stands for Girls Outdoor Leadership Development. And what we do is we take small groups of middle and high school students and get them outside, again, that disconnect from technology, and to really connect with each other and to be outside in nature as well. There is no experience required for these trips. We provide all the gear needed for a week-long hike and or paddling trip. And while away for the week, participants will go through a national curriculum and experience different leadership styles on the trail or on the river. One day they might be the leader for the day or the head chef for the day or the person who's responsible for taking the tents up and down, whatever that might be. So from cooking over a fire to setting up tents to learning about leaving no trace, these trips are perfect for those youth age 11 to 16 who love being in the outdoors and sleeping underneath the stars. We try to get at least 50 miles away from anything man-made just to really be able to enjoy the beauty of the outdoors.
Wow. It makes you want to go on a camping trip now.
Come on.
But Drew,
I love
I am
it.
interested in knowing, Drew, if you can, I am interested in knowing, how does it work with no electronics? I mean, how are these kids handling that?
It's actually kind of fun where most of them would prefer not to have it. A lot of them actually look
Really?
forward to the week at camp where they can let it go. Because when you come to camp, you get to be your version of yourself, and you make new friends, and you're having so much fun that it really is okay to put away the cell phone, to put away the tablet, not to be watching TV, and just to enjoy it. They really do like that.
Yeah.
So
now, what about the parents?
I was going to say, I'm going to add on to that as a newly residential camp parent. My child did not have a problem last year without being electronic. I couldn't track him. I couldn't contact him, and so exactly, it is the parents, and so
yeah.
I don't know if I can take it.
For all you parents out there, one, you'll like them not having the cell phone, but then the communication, the good thing is we are able to have a one-way communication from parents to their campers through email that we print off every day and give to them during rest hour. And we also post over 200 pictures a day for that proof of life photo parents are looking for throughout the day. So lots of photos.
Yes, and a lot of really good sizzle reels, I would call them, these videos that come out after each session that are just so dynamic and music filled and fun. So good stuff.
Nice. All right. Okay. Well, that saved the day. Parents get a way to communicate with their babies while they're away. Okay. I might do it. So now, Kim and Drew, as we end each episode, we customarily close by asking guests to share their pathway to the Y story. In other words, how did you first get connected to the Y? Kim, if you don't mind starting.
Yeah. So my Y story, it's so interesting because a lot of people have like a huge Y story. And if you come in my office, I was first introduced to the Y when I lived in New Jersey. And I actually was part of what was then called Indian Princesses, which is now called Adventure Guides. And I did that program with my dad. And so if you come in my office, you actually can see it in the background. I have, wrong way, but I have 2 fishing awards. And those are my fishing awards for catching the most fish, where we went up to a residential camp. We took a trip there. I know. So it was great. I try not to remember the time that I fell out of the bunk bed. Was not, yes. But
Kim.
I know. I tell you.
You were okay. We're okay.
I was okay. I was fine.
Good.
So, but that was my introduction to the Y. But honestly, how I started my Y career, I was working in a childcare center, and I really was looking for something more. I had worked after school, went all through college as a counselor, and I really wanted to get more back into that type of work. So I answered a newspaper ad for the Alpharetta YMCA. Wow. They were hiring for a children's services director. And nice. I answered the ad, and they brought me in for an interview, and, they couldn't shake me. I spent about 13 years at that Y and moved around and have been with the Y for over 23 years. I was interviewed last week, and this is when you feel old, is when they say she's been in the childcare business for 2 decades. And I just sat there and said, really?
I love it. Nice. Thank you. Drew, your turn.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually grew up just a couple miles from our Toll Gwinnett YMCA, but really didn't know that a career in the Y would take off until years later. When I was in college, I took a part-time job at Camp Harbour, being an assistant counselor. It was supposed to be 5 weeks up on Lake Burton, ended up turning into 10 weeks on Lake Burton, and just really fell in love with what we were able to accomplish in a short time mentoring kids at camp. And I went back to college, and every weekend, instead of going home, because it was a small suitcase college, I would go up to Lake Burton and serve weekends up there and just be with the groups that were coming in to work. And so from there, I just decided, I would love to do this full time. Unfortunately, when I graduated college, there wasn't a spot for me. So I went and said, I'm going to do something else. I need 6 months to do something before camp starts again. And so I worked on a Disney cruise ship working with kids, age 5 to 7. It was running camp on a cruise ship. And
That's cool.
Fortunately, I came back to camp that summer and they said, hey, we do have a job for you. It's part-time. I said, I don't care. I'll take anything with the Y and with Camp Now, and started out in a part-time role working with the Advanced Leadership Academy, which we referenced earlier on this call. And it leads to where we're at today. And next week starts my 25th summer at camp, all here in the Atlanta Y, all with Camp by Harbour.
Wow.
So
Fantastic.
it's been fun
Well
because
done.
from that first year at Lake Burton, I've got to see our camps at many different locations. We used to have a camp down on Jekyll Island. We called it the Golden Isles Camp down the Jekyll Island portion. We partnered with the Huntsville Y and ran camps out of the Chalakee on Gunnersville Lake there in Alabama. We even ran camp out of Raven Gap Nakuchi School up in Northeast Georgia. And now, of course, we're at Lake Burton and Lake Allatoona. We've run mission trips. I think, Robert, you referenced that. We've been to Hawaii, Alaska, Costa Rica. So everywhere camp's been, I've been able to have a part in, whether it's our adventure trips, our mission trips, or just running camps. And now the greatest reward for me is watching my 2 girls grow up at Camp by Harbour and experience those memories and friendships that in a place that's so special to me as well. So it really has come full circle since attending the Gwinnett Y at an early age and then being a part-time counselor for a summer job when I was in college.
Amazing.
Nice.
Great
Absolutely
beginnings.
amazing.
Yeah.
So grateful to both of you for your dedication of serving youth for the many years that you have in different capacities. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for sharing.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.
Dad!